You know, getting your health right can change your life. I've applied this in my own life for the last 30 years, and I've helped so many men. This week in the Thumos community, we covered this 10-point assessment in which I shared with the men just 10 things that, if done right, can change your life. You know, this health and fitness, nutrition included, which is the focus here, it's really the gateway. When a man comes in and he gets really good at the F of fitness, in this case nutrition, he looks, feels, and performs better. He's got energy, he's got vibrancy for life. This is not just men, this is men and women, but Thumos' focus is on men. So this is the 10-point assessment that we shared, that I covered in the Tuesday and Thursday Zoom calls for our Thumos community this week, thumosusa.com. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. And I just want to share it with you in case it might offer you some insight as to maybe where you are and how can you perhaps do a little bit better if that's what's needed. So number one, I'm in shape. I, as a man, I'm not fat, I'm not inflamed, I have energy, and I know it. I've thought about this from multiple angles over the years, over the decades, and I really boil it down to, if I'm being brutally honest, not judgmental, not mean, but if I'm being brutally honest with myself, here's where I get to. If I'm not in shape, if I'm overweight, if I'm fat, if I'm whatever, getting sick a lot, then it comes down to one of two things. Number one, I'm either ignorant. I don't mean that in a mean way. It just means that I don't yet have the knowledge that I need to have in order to optimize my nutrition, in order to optimize my health. I just lack knowledge, I lack information. Number two, which is an and or, I'm undisciplined. So in other words, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it for whatever reason. There's 1,000 things going on, we have busy lives, but I've looked at this from so many angles, and it almost always, if I'm applying 100% accountability, zero victim, I either don't have the information, ignorant, or I'm not applying it, undisciplined, or both. So healthy body, number one, and we'll ask the guys to basically measure themselves 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, 1 being the least. Where are you? You're free of disease, you're not inflamed, you like the way you look, feel, and perform, you like what you see in the mirror, you like your body fat, etc. Number two, I've studied enough nutrition to know what works and to be able to identify the lies, the deceptions, etc. I actually pulled up on the website during this assessment, and I actually showed people the food pyramid in which I grew up on in the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s. 6 to 7 servings of starchy carbs, breads, and pasta. How did that work out for us? I think it was 2 to 3 servings of meat. I'd have to go back and check, but it's something close to that. I just simply told the guys, look, I learned to flip that around 30 years ago. Eat more meats, eat more proteins, eat more fish, eat more turkey, eat more of the good stuff. Assuming the body likes it, assuming you're not allergic to it, eat more of that. And then either sans, or even better yet, when what I have applied is doing much lower servings consumption of those starchy carbs, and then making sure I'm doing the right starchy carbs at the right time, aka around my workout, my weightlifting, my weight training. So I just showed them some misconceptions that are out there, like the food pyramid and the pyramid that led us astray, the demonization of saturated fats like egg yolks, which contain nutrients that are good for us, the margarine that was introduced, the fake and the trans fats. Actually brought them to the World Economic Forum's website. I don't spend much time there at all. I don't find that it's above the line. But if you've heard rumors like we're going to be eating insects, go check it out. It's on there. It's on their website. They're not joking about this. I shared with them 8 foods that are illegal in other countries, that are very much illegal, that are very much legal and being utilized right here in the good old US of A. Showed them 11 ingredients, like the red 40s of the world, that aren't good for us, that are outlawed in other countries, that we still very much push. It basically talked about, sort of a rule of thumb. If it's packaged, it's processed, there's some propaganda behind it, there's slow poisons in it, and it's all about profits. Now, that may be a gross generalization, perhaps an exaggeration, but at the end of the day, there's some truth to it. The more natural, more closer to the source, the better. So we talked about that. Number 3, 1 to 5, I've invested enough money in order to purchase good food. So in other words, it's the concept of eat cheap stuff now, perhaps pay big with your health later. Heart disease, blood sugar problems, diabetes, cancer, very scary stuff. Why not spend a little more now, be healthy on the front end? It does cost more. And then we talked about ways to save on that. Like if you're gonna go organic with fruits, look up the dirty dozen. An apple, non-organic apple hasn't entered my body in the last, 15 years. It's been a long time. So we talked about those. We talked about perhaps eating fruit. If it's going to be non-organic to save some money, how about focusing on the ones that you can peel, like a banana or like an avocado, something like that. So we just talked about kind of pros and cons and how do we get to if perhaps we want to be 80-20 with this stuff because we don't want to get overwhelmed. Number 4, I drank enough clean water daily. Actually, this could be number 1. I think water's that important. It's that vital. But go check the water, type in your zip code, do a water test. It's on, you can Google this, DuckDuckGo, it's all there. You can do even more accurate, better than that, and do a sample of your water. They make these samples, these test strips that you can purchase, and you can test your own water. But you can zip code it as well and do a Google search for your county, your parish, wherever it is that you live, and get a pretty good idea. But the bottom line is there's a lot of contaminants in our water. There's chemicals from runoff, from fertilizers. There's estrogen from stuff being flushed out into the toilet. And, if you ask me, master's degree in environmental management, dilution is not the solution to pollution. I think there's probably a better way. In fact, I know there is. But with that said, some people would use a good filtration system, whole house, or a countertop. I use a Berkey with like 5 filters total on this Berkey to filter out what I know is in my water. Some people use RO, some people distill their water, and then there's a whole argument, do you remineralize? I think over time you probably should put the minerals back in it. I'm a big fan of Celtic sea salt, by the way, in small amounts. But the bottom line there is filter your water. Make sure you and your family are getting good, clean, filtered water because there's just too many contaminants out there. Number 5, I'm eating food that is clean. In other words, it's farm raised. Most of you have heard about going into the grocery store, shopping the perimeter of that grocery store. When you start going down the aisles, you're getting your packaging and your processed slow poisons. If it's got a big name on it, it's in a box, it's probably not the best for you. Probably good for feeding masses, probably a cheaper way in order to do that. In fact, there's no doubt that it is. Not saying it's cheap, because nothing about our U.S. food right now is cheap in this world in which we live, but it's cheaper than eating the healthier, farm-raised, clean, organic, etc. So we just talked about perimeter of the grocery store, building a relationship with your local farmer. That's fantastic. Get to know that man or woman. You'll get to know what's in that food that you're purchasing. We recently purchased a half cow, probably the best thing we ever did. It's healthier. It's actually saving us money. It's right there, less trips to the grocery store. Now you got to keep it in the freezer and you got to have a backup generator, at least in Louisiana where I live. So pros and cons to everything, but we are super happy and we hope to never go back. That's when I'm referring to our beef there in this situation, of course. So clean, farm raised, less packaging, less processed. Be very mindful of seed oils. Look out for that. Go research the correlation or relationship to seed oils and sunburns, skin cancer. I think they're onto something with that. Your food should go bad. If you leave it out on the counter for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and it never spoils, you have to ask yourself, was it ever alive? If it doesn't die, did it ever live? Food ought to go bad. Europe and other countries, they're really good about this. They may go to the local grocery store or go purchase their food every couple of days, if not daily, because they have food that goes bad. It dies. Therefore, it's fresh. It's less packaged, less processed, less poisoned. And when I say poison, I'm not talking about eating something and it kills you over. I'm just talking about slow poisons, mild toxins that over time, they add up to problems in our vibrancy, in our health, in the way we function, look, feel, and perform. That's what I'm talking about. Number 6, know your macros, your protein, your carbs, your fats. lot of people, thinking of America here, need to get that protein up. I still like 1 gram per pound of body weight, unless we're talking about someone that's obese. At minimum, one pound per lean, 1 gram per lean pound of body weight. Know if you run better on carbs or fats, or a little bit of both. So some people, myself included, if we're lifting weights, doing higher intensity activities, CrossFitters very much come to mind, they tend to perform well overall on more carbs. And by more, it's very relative, based on the person, his body type, his level of activity, etc. His hormones, that matters as well. But most people tend to perhaps need more protein, lean protein from good sources. Most people tend to know if they perform a little better on lower carb and a little more fats, or maybe it's more fats and a little lower carbs. I have found overall, generalization here, not a fact, desk jockeys, those that aren't doing a lot of high intensity exercise, hopefully they're at least walking, they may tend to do better based on their body type and genetics. They may tend to do better on a little more fats and lowering those carbs, or perhaps they go all the way down ketosis for some length of time. There's benefits in that as well. But the bottom line is, know what your macros are, know essentially, for the most part, what you're getting, what makes you look, feel, and perform better. How does it affect your blood work? That means a lot, and that ought to be measured. Because you might be able to lose weight on something, but at the end of the day, if you're inflamed, as measured by like a C-reactive protein, if your triglycerides are off the charts, or if your sugars go bad, it's not that common, but if you lose weight, you might look better, but your numbers may not add up. Most of the time, there's a correlation. If you look better, you feel better, you perform better, your blood work looks better. But what I tell folks, check all that, including the Oura Ring. Use that as well, because that's an immediate feedback system that serves a whole lot of people very well. I regularly address toxins in my body. So I ask these guys 1 to 5, where are you on that? So, there are ways to detox. Are you sweating? Are you getting in a dry sauna? Are you jumping up and down on a rebounder? Remember these little mini trampolines, good for cleansing the lymphatic system. Do you do a detox protocol with herbs, for example? Have you been tested by any sort of doctor or naturopath or chiropractor or, some natural health practitioner to see if you've got buildup of toxins, heavy metals, parasites? We're living in America. We're living in the world. We've been vaccinated. A lot of us have had mercury in our teeth. Stuff's terrible for us. What am I going to do in my case in order to get that mercury out of that mouth? So detox. Number 8, I have addressed nutritional deficiencies. A lot of people just take vitamins and minerals because they think they're supposed to. Well, perhaps, but I like to ask the question with more precision, with data, quantitative data, like blood work, Oura Ring, blood pressure, etc. What are you taking and why, and what does it do for you? And does it work? So let's start you out on the 3 to 5 vitamins and minerals perhaps that you need based on this quantitative data. We can always go up from there, but the goal is not to overwhelm people. Let's go for progress over perfection. But at the end of the day, what are the nutritional deficiencies? Is it D3, the sunshine vitamin? Weather's changing. It's probably not a bad time to implement some D3. Better yet, go get tested for it. The test is called vitamin D, 25-OH hydroxy. Go get tested for your vitamin D3 levels, D levels, and see where you are. You may need some D3. But knowing those deficiencies, how's your iodine? Are you eating enough kelp to get iodine in your body, or other sources where you can get iodine? I say eating kelp, maybe you're supplementing with kelp. But your thyroid is probably hungry for iodine. And I know it is if you're deficient in it. So knowing your deficiencies. Number 9, I'm aware of my food sensitivities and allergies, and I'm avoiding those foods. Look, if you can go do a test like an Everlywell test, argue the reliability. I like it for whatever it is, $100, $150. I think it's a no-brainer. A lot of people go to get muscle testing from a good qualified, health practitioner like a chiropractor. That works. That's legit. I've had it work for me. Scary accurate. Go to your doctor, get tested for food allergies, food sensitivities. Look for things that are more subjective, qualitative, like clearing your throat after a meal. Me personally, if I eat or drink whey protein, even the isolate, I just tend to bloat. And of course, I'm gonna hold it right here in my face. Lucky me. Probably didn't help that I did whey isolate for 30 years nonstop. I'm probably not even exaggerating there. At least 25. Sometimes a couple of times a day. Oftentimes, if we can identify the culprit, whether maybe it's egg whites, maybe it's whey protein, maybe it's dairy, maybe it's what nuts are common, especially peanuts, mostly trash. You can pull that out typically, and if you choose to, reintroduce it slowly after about 6 months, and oftentimes the body will recover, reset, etc. Gluten is another one, of course. And there's even arguments out there that says it's not necessarily a gluten, but perhaps the glycophosphates that are causing the problem. Nothing good about those that when we're ingesting this in our food. But whatever it is, find the culprit, get it out of the body, and watch your inflammation go down and fix those sensitivities or those allergic food this. Oftentimes, a man or woman can still get lean eating this stuff. It's just a little bit harder, but the body is still inflamed, and this is just not ideal. And number 10, you're getting a variety, or I'm getting a variety of healthy foods in my diet. So in other words, I'm cognizant to perhaps eat with the seasons. If reds, fruits and veggies, or greens, or yellows are in season, I'm getting some of those. I'm getting variety in all of this. So me personally, I'm eating a protein meal or source about 5 times a day, and I'm getting 5 different sources of protein, so 1 in each meal. I like it just for the variation. I'm getting the different amino acid stacks and profiles. I'm getting plenty of fruits and veggies, especially organic and well rinsed when it comes to those fruits and veggies. But I'm making sure that I'm getting variety. So with all that said, that's the quick assessment. What we did is 1 to 5, kind of look, add it all up, get a cumulative grade, and then look for just 1 to 3 quick, easy, simple things to go after. Go get tested perhaps, or whatever it may be. Start eating more clean fruits and vegetables, or clean meat, or whatever it may be. And look, some people perform extremely well on a vegan type of diet. Cool, I don't. I'm also a blood type O. I think there's a correlation there. I tend to do very well on meats. I'm talking clean meats, farm raised, without all the junk in them, the hormones. But find out what works best for you, whether it's more carnivore, fruits and veggies included in that or not, whether it's more vegan. Look, there's people with success on all of these types of diets. When I think about it and I look for common threads or common ingredients, they're eliminating a lot of toxins. They're giving the body what the body likes. They're getting the nutrients that the body needs. That's really what a lot of this is all about. So we add all this up, give ourselves an overall score, and then maybe look to improve 1 to 3 things to say, because it's not about getting overwhelmed. That's a bad place to be. Don't go for perfection in this, brothers. Go for progress. Are there a couple of things that you can implement immediately and take your body to the next level to look, feel, and perform better? And then once we get ourselves right, let's go and let's work with our wives, let's work with our kids. And again, not being overwhelmed, but what can we do to start improving something? Because a lot of this starts in what we purchase in the grocery store. By the way, we're liking Aldi, A-L-D-I, because a lot of the stuff is just getting out of the packaged, processed American food, and it just tends to be a little more, I'm generalizing here, but overall a little more healthy, and my wife's liking the cost of it. But it really starts with a lot of what we purchase, what gets into the pantry, what gets into the refrigerator. And then we're trying to live about probably 70-30, 80-20. So we're not living in some organic, green bubble at all. But at the end of the day, we want to balance healthy, looking, feeling, performing as good as we can, living life, having fun, being social, doing sports with our 3 boys, etc. I hope that helps. If you would like, if you're out there, you're not a Thumos member, you'd like a copy of this simple assessment, I'm happy to email it to you. Just DM me. I'll get your information, send this over to you. If you want to know more, if you want to perhaps work with me, or find out more about the Thumos community where we're doing this. This is 1F, it's called fitness, which of course is fitness and health. This is one of 8 total F's that we're optimizing. So we bring a man into Thumos, our community. Either he'll work with me one-on-one or he'll come into our community, and we optimize 8 F's: faith, family, finance, fitness. There's 8 total F's. We're optimizing men. We also hit this harder, this and more, much more. We cover the entire fitness piece on our weekends. And we've got a Thumos Breakthrough Weekend coming up December 1st back in Texas. That's all about coaching, leaning in with other men, getting ahas and breakthroughs, and they're just magic. They're beautiful. God shows up on our weekends. They're deep, they're impactful, they change lives. We're about to do weekend number 9, 600 acres in Texas. And if you want more information on that, DM me, send me a message, email me, let me know. Jody@thumosusa.com. Take care.